The Corallian ship drifted in space like a broken bird. Its beautiful crystal walls were cracked and bleeding air into the darkness. Captain Veltar pressed his 4 fingers against the emergency button on his control panel. His blue blood ran down his scaled face like tears. "This is Captain Veltar, the Corallian science ship," he spoke into the radio. "We are under attack. Our peaceful mission is in danger. Please help us. Any good people who can hear this message, please help us." The ship shook again as another blast hit them. Veltar looked around his bridge. His crew was scared. They had never seen violence like this before. The Corallians were a peaceful people who traveled the stars to learn about other worlds. They had no weapons. They believed all smart life forms were good and kind like them, but they were wrong. On Earth, far away from the dying alien ship, Commander Jake Harrison was drinking his morning coffee. He worked at the Terran Defense Command Center in Colorado. It was a quiet Tuesday morning. Jake was reading reports about supply shipments when Lieutenant Lisa Brooks called out from her station. "Sir, we are getting a strange signal from deep space," Lisa said. Her voice was excited and worried at the same time. Jake put down his coffee cup and walked over to her desk. "What kind of signal?" "It sounds like a call for help, sir. But it is not from any human ship. The computer says it is coming from the Vega star system." Jake felt his heart beat faster. First contact with aliens was something every human had dreamed about. But this was not how anyone had planned it would happen. "How far away is Vega?" Jake asked. "About 47 light years from Earth, sir." Admiral Ben Murphy walked into the command center just as the alien voice came through the speakers again. The translation computer was working hard to change the musical alien sounds into English words. "Admiral," Jake started to say, but Murphy held up his hand for quiet. "I can hear it, Commander." "Lisa, can you show us what is happening up there?" The big screen on the wall came to life. It showed the alien ship surrounded by 12 huge dark vessels. These enemy ships looked like they were made of shadows. They were much bigger than the pretty crystal ship. The dark ships were shooting some kind of energy beam that was making parts of the alien ship simply disappear. "Those weapons," said Dr. Kate Williams from her desk near the back of the room. She was the expert on alien life. "They are not just breaking the ship. They are making the metal turn into nothing." Jake watched the screen with growing anger. "How many people are on that alien ship?" "The sensors show about 300 life forms, sir," Lisa reported. Admiral Murphy stared at the screen. He was an old soldier who had fought in many wars. He watched as another piece of the alien ship was destroyed by the shadow vessels. "Get the fleet ready. All ships we have." "Sir?" Jake was surprised. "We do not know anything about this fight. Maybe the aliens did something wrong." "Commander," Murphy said, in a voice that carried the weight of many battles, "someone is asking for help. That is all I need to know." On the alien ship, Captain Veltar was trying to keep his people alive. The hegemony ships had found them 3 hours ago. The hegemony was an empire that traveled the galaxy looking for other smart species. But they did not want to be friends. They wanted to rule or destroy everyone they found. "Captain," said his science officer, "the hull cannot take much more. We will lose life support in 2 hours." Veltar closed his large eyes and tried to think. His people had no experience with war. They had built their ship for exploring, not fighting. Their only weapons were small energy shields that were already failing. "Send the message again," Veltar ordered. "Someone must hear us. Someone good must be out there." The hegemony commander on the lead attack ship was enjoying the slow destruction of the Corallian vessel. His name was War Leader Krex, and he had destroyed many peaceful species before. He liked to take his time. Fear was a weapon, just like his energy cannons. "Shall we finish them quickly, War Leader?" asked his weapons officer. "No," Krex replied, with his voice like breaking glass. "Let them suffer. Let them send their little messages for help. No one will come. No one ever comes." But Krex was wrong. Back on Earth, Admiral Murphy was already giving orders. "Contact the shipyards. I want every warship we have ready to go in 6 hours. Contact the Marine bases. I want our best fighters ready for anything." "Sir," said Dr. Williams, "maybe we should try to talk to these attackers first." "Maybe there is a peaceful solution." Murphy turned to look at her. His eyes were hard as stone. "Doctor, someone is shooting at a ship full of scientists who cannot fight back. There is no peaceful solution to bullies. There is only one language they understand." Jake felt a chill run down his back. Earth's military was the most powerful force humans had ever built. It was designed to protect Earth from any threat, but it had never been tested against aliens. "Admiral," Jake said quietly, "what if these attackers are too strong for us? What if we start a war we cannot win?" Murphy looked back at the screen where the alien ship was still dying slowly. "Then we will lose fighting for something good, instead of sitting here doing nothing." The emergency alarms began to sound throughout the command center. All across Earth, military bases came alive with activity. Soldiers ran to their ships. Pilots climbed into their fighters. Engineers started the huge engines of humanity's war fleet in space above Earth. The first ships began to move. A mighty battleship USS Liberty led the formation. Behind it came cruisers, destroyers, and carriers full of fighter craft. Each ship carried weapons that could crack planets and shields that could stop atomic bombs. Captain Ryan Cole stood on the bridge of the Liberty and watched his fleet form up. His executive officer, Commander Helen Price, stood beside him. "Sir," Helen said quietly, "are we really going to start an interstellar war for aliens we have never met?" Ryan looked out at the other ships, preparing for the jump to hyperspace. "Helen, what do they teach us at the Academy about humanity's job in the universe?" "That we protect those who cannot protect themselves, sir." "That is right. Today, we are not alone anymore. Today, we become the protectors of the galaxy." The human fleet jumped into hyperspace, carrying with it the fury of a species that had learned to fight in the hell of Earth's violent history. Behind them, Earth continued to send its message to the dying aliens. "Help is coming. Hold on." The human fleet moved through hyperspace like an angry storm. 37 warships had answered the call to help the dying aliens. It was the largest battle group Earth had ever sent into space. The flagship USS Liberty led the way, its hull covered with railguns and missile tubes that could destroy cities. Captain Ryan Cole walked the bridge of the Liberty. His crew was busy preparing for battle against an unknown enemy. His second-in-command, Commander Helen Price, was checking weapons systems. She looked worried. "Sir, I have to ask," Helen said when they were alone. "Are we really going to fight a war for people we do not know?" Ryan stopped walking and looked out at the stars rushing past. "Helen, what is the most important thing about being human?" "I do not know, sir." "We help people who need help. It does not matter if they are human or alien. If someone is in trouble, we help them. That is who we are." Down in the ship's science lab, Dr. Kate Williams was working hard to understand more about the aliens who had called for help. She had been studying their radio messages for hours. What she learned made her feel sick and angry. The aliens were called Corellians. They came from a peaceful world where no one ever fought wars. They traveled through space to learn about other planets and stars. They had never built weapons because they thought all smart life forms were good like them. But they were wrong. Doctor Williams ran to the bridge with her computer tablet. Her face was pale and scared. "Captain," she said, breathing hard from running, I have been studying the alien messages. These Corallians are not just peaceful. They are completely helpless. They have never fought anyone in their entire history. What about these attackers? Ryan asked. The hegemony is an empire that conquers other worlds. They have destroyed dozens of peaceful species, like the Corallians. They think any species they cannot control should be wiped out. Commander Helen Price felt cold fear in her stomach. Captain, what if they come after Earth next? Ryan's face became hard as stone. Then they will learn why we call our home planet a death world. Throughout the fleet, humans prepared for war. In the engine rooms, Chief Engineer Alex Johnson pushed. The ship's engines passed their safety limits to get to the battle faster. In the weapons bays, Sergeant Lisa Martinez checked every bullet and bomb. Her team loaded the big guns with shells that could punch through mountain-sized asteroids. Time to target, 14 hours, announced Navigator Tony Clark from his station. Captain Cole turned on the fleet-wide radio so he could talk to all the ships at once. All ships, this is Liberty Command. We are going to fight an enemy we have never seen before. But we are not going there to conquer new worlds. We are going to protect innocent people. Let us show the galaxy what happens when someone hurts the helpless. On the other ships, captains and crews made their own preparations. Captain Danny Wilson of the destroyer USS Ranger was loading his torpedo tubes with antimatter warheads. Each torpedo carried enough power to vaporize a city block. "Sir," said his weapons officer, "these torpedoes were designed to fight other human ships. We do not know if they will work against alien technology." "They will work," Wilson replied. "Antimatter does not care what it hits. It destroys everything the same way." Commander Julie Parker was captain of the cruiser USS Justice. Her ship carried the newest particle beam weapons that Earth had ever built. She was testing the targeting systems when her communications officer called out, "Captain, I am picking up more alien signals from the battle zone." "What do they say?" "The Corallians are asking if anyone received their call for help. They are saying they only have a few hours of air left." Julie felt anger burn in her chest. "Tell them help is coming. Tell them to hold on." But the message would take hours to reach the dying aliens. The human fleet was still too far away. On the Corallian ship, Captain Veltar was trying to keep his people calm. The hegemony ships were still attacking, but more slowly now. They seemed to enjoy watching the crystal ship die piece by piece. "Captain," said his engineer, "the air recycling system is failing. We have maybe 6 hours of breathing air left." Veltar looked around his bridge. His crew was trying to be brave, but he could see the fear in their large eyes. None of them had ever imagined dying like this. War was something they had read about in history books about primitive species. "Send the message again," Veltar ordered. Someone must hear us, but in his heart he was losing hope. The galaxy was a big place. Even if someone good received there, call for help, how could they arrive in time? On the lead hegemony ship, War Leader Krex was growing bored with the slow destruction. His species enjoyed fear and suffering, but the Corallians were too weak to provide much entertainment. "War Leader," said his communications officer, "the prey ship is still sending distress signals." Krex laughed like breaking metal. "Let them call for help. We have destroyed 100 species before this one. No one has ever come to help them. No one will come to help these crystal builders either." But Krex had never encountered a species like humanity. The human fleet continued its journey through hyperspace. In the medical bays, doctors prepared for casualties. They did not know what alien weapons might do to human bodies. In the fighter hangars, pilots ran final checks on their small, fast ships. Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Hudson strapped himself into his F-47 Starhawk fighter. "All pilots, this is Squadron Leader," he said into his radio. "We are going up against unknown enemies. with unknown weapons. Stick together, watch each other's backs, and remember your training. Copy that, leader, came the reply from his wingman, ready to show these aliens what human pilots can do. On the Liberty's bridge, Admiral Murphy stood beside Captain Cole. The old warrior looked tired but determined. "Admiral," Ryan said, "the crew is asking questions. They want to know why we are risking everything for aliens we have never met." Murphy was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke in a voice that carried the wisdom of many battles. "Captain, humans have always been fighters. We fought the cold and the heat on our world. We fought wild animals and diseases. We fought each other for thousands of years. But the best part of being human is not that we can fight. The best part is that we choose who to fight for. And today we fight for the innocent," Ryan said. "Today we fight for the idea that good people should not die alone in the dark." Murphy replied. The fleet raced through hyperspace toward a battle that would change the galaxy forever. Behind them, Earth continued to send its message of hope to the dying aliens. Ahead of them waited an enemy that had never faced a species born in violence, but raised in honor. The Corallians had called for help from any civilized species. What they were about to get were the barbarians from the third planet of a yellow star dot, and those barbarians were very, very angry. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Vega system like lightning striking from a clear sky. Immediately, the sensors on every ship began scanning the area. What they found made even the most experienced officers feel sick with anger. "Dear God," whispered Lieutenant Commander Sam Roberts from his sensor station on the Liberty. "There are 12 enemy ships out there. Each one is twice as big as our largest battleship." Admiral Murphy studied the tactical display showing the battle. The beautiful crystal ship of the aliens was barely holding together. Its shields were flickering like a dying candle. The dark enemy ships surrounded it like wolves around a wounded deer. "Size is not everything, son," Admiral Murphy told the young officer. "Lisa, open a channel to the alien ship." The main screen flickered to life. It showed the face of Captain Veltar. The alien's large eyes grew wide with shock when he saw the human bridge. His scaled skin was blue-green, and his four-fingered hands shook with emotion. "You came," Veltar said through the translation computer. His voice was full of wonder and hope. "But how did you get here so fast?" "We only sent our call for help yesterday. We have fast ships and good hearts," Admiral Murphy replied. "Captain, we are here to help you. Can you move your ship away from the fighting? Our engines are destroyed. We cannot move." Veltar's words were cut off as another dark energy beam hit his ship. More of the crystal hull simply disappeared. Captain Cole turned to his weapons officer. "Lieutenant Nancy Foster, target the enemy ship that is shooting at the aliens. All forward guns." "Sir," Nancy said hesitantly, "should we not try to talk to them first? Maybe we can solve this without fighting?" Admiral Murphy stepped forward. His face was hard as iron. "Lieutenant, they are shooting at a ship full of helpless people. That tells me everything I need to know about them. Fire when ready." The USS Liberty's railguns spoke with the voice of human engineering. Tungsten bullets, moving at nearly the speed of light, crossed the empty space in seconds. The first enemy ship's shields glowed bright, and then failed completely. The dark hull cracked like an egg hit by a hammer. Across the human fleet, other ships joined the attack. Captain Danny Wilson's destroyer, USS Ranger, launched antimatter torpedoes that lit up space like small suns. Commander Julie Parker's cruiser, USS Justice, fired particle beams that cut through the enemy shields. Like knives through paper, the space around the dying alien ship became a light show of human weapons. For the first time in hours, the Corallian ship was not being shot at. The enemy had bigger problems now, Dot. The hegemony fleet seemed shocked by the sudden appearance of the unknown warships. Their weapons were designed to slowly destroy enemy ships, to create fear. But human shields were built to stop nuclear explosions. The alien dissolution beams barely scratched the human armor. "Admiral," reported Commander Helen Price, "the enemy is trying to talk to us. Put them through." The main screen split to show both the grateful Corallian captain and what looked like the enemy commander. The hegemony alien was tall and thin, with arms too long for its body. Its skin seemed to eat light instead of reflecting it. "Unknown ships," the enemy commander spoke in a voice like grinding metal. "You are interfering with hegemony business. Leave now or we will destroy you." "Admiral." Murphy looked the alien up and down with disgust. "This is Admiral Benjamin Murphy of the Terran Defense Force. You were shooting at innocent people." "That makes it our business." "Terran?" The enemy commander's face showed confusion. "We have no records of your species. You will surrender to hegemony authority immediately." "Counter-offer," Murphy said with a cold smile. "You leave this star system right now, and we will not show you what happens when you make humans angry." The alien's laugh sounded like breaking glass. "You're tiny. Fleet cannot stand against hegemony power. We have conquered 100 worlds. We have destroyed entire species." "Well," Admiral Murphy replied, "you have never fought Earth." The enemy commander's face twisted with rage. He cut off the communication and immediately ordered his ships to attack the human fleet. What happened next was a lesson in why humans had fought their way to the top of Earth's food chain. The hegemony ships tried to fight the way they always did. They used their size and powerful guns to slowly break down enemy resistance. Their dissolution weapons were meant to create terror as much as destruction. But human tactics were completely different. Captain Cole's Liberty did not charge straight at the enemy. Instead, the human ships moved in complex patterns that seemed random, but were actually based on battle plans developed through thousands of years of warfare. "Enemy ships are having trouble tracking our movements," reported Lieutenant Roberts. "Their weapons seem designed for shooting at targets that do not move much." Commander Helen Price was coordinating the attack from her station. "All fighter squadrons, you are cleared to attack. Watch out for those energy beams." Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Hudson led the fighter attack in his F-47 Starhawk. "Copy that, Control. We are going in." The human fighters were tiny compared to the massive enemy ships, but they moved like angry bees around sleeping giants. Their missiles carried nuclear warheads that found weak spots in the alien shields and exploded with devastating power. The hegemony ships had never faced an enemy like this. Their commanders were used to fighting species that built defensive weapons and tried to protect themselves. Humans built offensive weapons and tried to destroy their enemies as quickly as possible. "Sir," reported Captain Cole, "Major Linda Carter is asking permission to board the lead enemy ship." Admiral Murphy looked surprised. "Board it? Why not? Just blow it up?" "She says we need to learn more about their capabilities and how big their empire is. Also, the Corallians are scientists. They would probably prefer we capture enemies instead of killing them if possible." "Permission granted, but tell the Major to be very careful. We do not know what is inside those ships." Major Carter and her team of 60 Marines launched from the assault ship USS Yorktown in armored boarding craft. The enemy ships had no defense against this most ancient of human fighting tactics. The Marines cut through the alien hull with plasma torches and poured into the ship's corridors. What they found inside was worse than any nightmare. The enemy ship was filled with the preserved bodies of dozens of different alien species. They were displayed like hunting trophies, but worse than the dead were the living prisoners. Aliens from many different worlds were kept in energy cages apparently being tortured or experimented on. "Control, this is boarding team Alpha." Major Carter's voice came over the radio. "We have found prisoners, many of them, different species. They look like they are being used for experiments." Every human who heard that message felt their blood turn cold with rage. "Admiral," Murphy's voice cut across all ship channels. "All ships, new orders. These are not just conquerors. They are slavers and torturers. Show them no mercy." The human attack became something primal and furious. The measured, professional assault turned into the rage of a species that had been born in violence, but chose to use that violence to protect the innocent. The hegemony ships, built to create fear, suddenly found themselves facing a species that had been forged in fear and made stronger by it. The battle between humans and the hegemony became a masterclass in the difference between conquest and protection. The hegemony had spent centuries perfecting the art of fear. Humans had spent millennia perfecting the art of war. War leader Krex stared at his tactical display in growing confusion and anger. His massive ships were taking damage from the smaller human vessels. This was not how battles were supposed to work. The hegemony always won through superior size and firepower. "How? Are these tiny ships hurting us?" Krex demanded from his second-in-command. "Their weapons are different, war leader. They do not try to dissolve our hulls slowly. They hit us with tremendous force all at once. Our shields cannot handle that kind of impact." Krex watched as another human ship fired its railguns. The tungsten bullets hit his flagship with the force of meteors. The ship shook like it had been kicked by a giant. Return fire, destroy them. But the humans would not stay still long enough to be destroyed. Captain Cole's Liberty danced through space like a fighter instead of a battleship. The ship spun and twisted in ways that made the enemy gunners dizzy. Human pilots had trained for this kind of movement their entire lives. They learned to fight in 3 dimensions while pulling forces that would crush most alien bodies. "Enemy weapons are too slow," reported Lieutenant Roberts from his sensor station. "They are designed for targets that move in straight lines." "That is because most civilized species fight like gentlemen," replied Admiral Murphy. "We fight like humans." The human fighters were causing chaos among the hegemony formation. Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Hudson led his squadron between the massive enemy ships like flies buzzing around elephants. "Raptor leader to all pilots," Hudson called over the radio. "These big ships have blind spots where their guns cannot turn. Get in close and stay there." The F-47 Starhawks were tiny compared to the hegemony vessels, but they carried nuclear-tipped missiles that could crack mountains. The fighters found gaps in the alien shields and sent their deadly cargo home. On the hegemony command ship, alarms were screaming. War leader Krex could not understand how his mighty fleet was being damaged by such small enemies. "War leader," his communications officer called out, "the humans are requesting surrender." "Impossible. We do not surrender to inferior species." But even as Krex spoke, he watched human Marines board one of his ships. The sight filled him with a new kind of fear. The hegemony fought from a distance with energy weapons. These humans were actually entering his ships to fight hand-to-hand. Major Linda Carter led her Marines through the corridors of the hegemony ship like an avenging angel. Her team moved with the precision of soldiers who had trained for urban combat in the ruins of human cities. Contact front. Called Corporal Steve Martinez as the first hegemony warriors appeared. The alien soldiers were tall and strong, but they had never fought enemies like humans. The hegemony warriors used energy weapons that were designed to kill slowly and create fear. Human Marines used kinetic weapons that were designed to stop enemies immediately. The sound of human assault rifles echoed through the alien ship. Hegemony soldiers fell back in confusion. They had expected their enemies to be afraid of them. Instead, These humans seemed to get angrier with every step forward. "Major," called out Private Jenny Adams, "we have found the prison area. There are dozens of alien prisoners here." Major Carter entered the prison section and felt her anger turn white hot. The hegemony had captured beings from many different worlds. Some were being used for medical experiments. Others were simply being tortured for entertainment. "Get them out of here," Carter ordered. "All of them. And someone call for more medical teams." The rescued aliens looked at the human soldiers with wonder and fear. They had never seen beings that fought with such controlled violence. The Marines were gentle with the prisoners, but deadly to their captors. Back in space, the human fleet was systematically destroying the hegemony ships. Captain Danny Wilson's destroyer had just finished off its third enemy vessel with antimatter torpedoes. "Sir," called his weapons officer, "I am reading massive secondary explosions from the enemy ships. Their own weapons are cooking off." "Good," Wilson replied grimly. "Maybe they will think twice before attacking helpless people again." Commander Julie Parker's cruiser USS Justice was using its particle beams to disable enemy engines instead of destroying the ships completely. Her orders were to capture as many enemies as possible for questioning. "Julie," came Admiral Murphy's voice over the radio, "good work on keeping those ships intact. We need prisoners who can tell us about their empire." "Copy that, Admiral. These weapons are perfect for precision work." On the Liberty's bridge, Captain Cole was coordinating the entire battle. The human fleet was winning, but he wanted to make sure they learned everything they could about this new enemy. "Admiral," Cole said to Murphy, "the boarding teams are reporting that these hegemony ships carry detailed star charts. We might be able to find their home worlds." "Good. We need to know how big this empire is and how many innocent species they have attacked." The battle was turning into a rout. The hegemony ships were built for intimidation, not actual combat against a prepared enemy. Their commanders had never faced resistance from their victims before. "War leader," called out the communications officer on Krex's ship, "3 of our vessels have been boarded. 2 more are disabled. The humans are demanding our complete surrender." Krex stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His mighty fleet was being destroyed by creatures from a world he had never heard of. How was this possible? "Open a channel to the human commander," Krex ordered. Admiral Murphy appeared on the screen, his face hard as granite. Behind him, Krex could see the human bridge crew working with calm efficiency. "This is Admiral Murphy. Are you ready to surrender?" "You do not understand," Krex said desperately. "The hegemony empire spans hundreds of worlds. If you destroy us, our government will send fleets to crush your pathetic little planet." Murphy's expression did not change. "Let me explain something to you, war leader. Your empire has spent centuries attacking species that could not fight back. You have gotten used to being the biggest predator in the galaxy. Yes, we are the supreme power." "No," Murphy replied quietly. "You were the biggest fish in a small pond. Now you have met the sharks." The last hegemony ship that was still fighting took a direct hit from the Liberty's main guns. Its shields failed completely, and the hull cracked open like an egg. The ship began to spin helplessly in space. "All enemy vessels are either destroyed or disabled," reported Commander Price. "The battle is over, sir." Admiral Murphy nodded. "Signal all ships. Begin rescue operations for any survivors. And get medical teams to help those alien prisoners." Captain Veltar watched the end of the battle from his damaged bridge. His large eyes were wide with amazement. The humans had arrived and destroyed his attackers in just 3 hours. His people were safe. "Human Admiral," Veltar called over the radio, "we do not know how to thank you. You saved our lives." "You do not need to thank us, Captain," Murphy replied. "Helping people in trouble is what we do. But even as the humans celebrated their victory, Admiral Murphy was thinking about the future. The Hegemony Empire was still out there. They would want revenge for this defeat. Earth needed to be ready for what was coming next. The galaxy was about to learn that when Deathworlders decided to protect the innocent, nothing could stop them. 3 hours after the battle began, the last Hegemony ship surrendered. The space around the damaged Corallian vessel was filled with floating debris and human rescue shuttles. The mighty enemy fleet that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries lay broken and defeated. Captain Veltar stood on the Liberty's bridge next to Admiral Murphy. The alien scientist could barely believe what he had witnessed. His blue tears still flowed down his scaled face, but now they were tears of joy and wonder. "I do not understand your species," Veltar said to the Admiral. "You traveled across the galaxy to help people you had never met. You fought creatures much larger than your ships. And you won. Size does not matter when you are fighting for the right reasons." Admiral Murphy replied simply. Dr. Kate Williams was busy in the ship's medical bay, helping to treat the rescued alien prisoners. What she found there made her both sad and angry. The Hegemony had captured representatives from 16 different species. All of them told the same terrible story. "Admiral," Dr. Williams reported over the ship's communication system, "I have interviewed the rescued prisoners. The Hegemony Empire follows the same pattern everywhere. They arrive at a peaceful world, demand complete surrender, and then destroy or enslave anyone who refuses." "How many species have successfully fought them off?" asked Captain Cole. "None, sir, until today." Captain Veltar approached Dr. Williams with curiosity. "Doctor, your species must have evolved on a very peaceful world like ours. That is why you understand the importance of helping others." Kate Williams looked at the gentle alien with something like pity. "Captain, our world tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. We had to fight ice ages, volcanic eruptions, deadly animals, terrible diseases, and each other just to survive. We call our planet Earth, but most species would call it a death world." "Death world?" Veltar repeated the unfamiliar words. "A planet where only the strongest, smartest, and most adaptable species can survive," Admiral Murphy explained. "Most intelligent life develops on peaceful worlds like yours. But sometimes intelligence evolves in hell itself. That is humanity." Veltar was quiet for a long moment as he tried to understand this concept. "So you became intelligent while fighting for your lives every day?" "That is correct," Dr. Williams said. "Other species became smart while living in peace. We became smart while living in constant danger. It made us very different from most aliens." Over the next several days, as the human fleet escorted the rescued aliens to safety, word of the battle spread across the galaxy. The peaceful civilizations that had lived in terror of the Hegemony for generations could barely understand what had happened. On dozens of worlds, alien governments received reports that seemed impossible. A previously unknown species had appeared from nowhere and defeated the mighty Hegemony fleet in just 3 hours. The attackers had not conquered any territory or demanded tribute. They had simply rescued the victims and left. Commander Helen Price was reviewing reports in her quarters when she brought interesting news to Captain Cole. "Sir, we are receiving communications from 12 different alien species. They are all asking the same question." "What question is that?" "They want to know if humanity is looking for allies." Captain Cole looked out at the stars through his cabin window. He thought about Earth's long, violent history and how it had shaped his species into what they were now: protectors, warriors, and survivors. "Send a message to Earth Command," he ordered. "Tell them we need an emergency meeting of the World Council. It looks like humanity just became the galaxy's police force." 3 months later, representatives from 47 different alien species gathered on Earth's moon for the founding of the Galactic Protection Alliance. Captain Veltar had been chosen as the first non-human ambassador to the Alliance. Meeting took place in a specially built conference center that could accommodate the different environmental needs of dozens of species. Some aliens breathed different gases. Others needed different temperatures or gravity levels. But they all had one thing in common. They had all suffered under hegemony rule. Admiral Murphy stood before the assembly and addressed the gathered aliens through translation computers. "Friends," he began, "you have all come here because you want to live in peace. You want to explore the galaxy and learn about each other without fear. The hegemony took that peace away from you." A chorus of agreement rose from the alien delegates. They had all lost friends and family to hegemony attacks. "Today, we offer you something different," Murphy continued. "We offer you an alliance built on protection instead of conquest. We will not rule over you or demand tribute. We will simply make sure that no one can hurt you again." An alien delegate from the Zephyrian Collective raised a tentacle-like appendage. "Admiral Murphy, why should we trust your species? You are clearly powerful enough to conquer us all if you wanted to." Murphy smiled grimly. "Because we do not want to conquer anyone. We want to go home to our families and live in peace. But we cannot live in peace knowing that innocents are suffering." Captain Veltar stood up to address the assembly. "Fellow beings, I was there when the humans first answered our call for help. They did not ask what we could give them in return. They did not demand payment or territory. They simply came because we needed help. The Alliance was formally established that day. Earth became the military headquarters, but the government was shared equally among all member species. Each world would contribute what it could to the common defense. The Corallians offered their advanced science and exploration technology. The Zephyrians provided their knowledge of hyperspace navigation. The crystal builders of Altair shared their expertise in energy shields. Dozens of other species contributed their own unique abilities. But it was humanity that provided the military backbone of the Alliance. Human ships patrolled the borders of member worlds. Human Marines trained alien security forces. Human engineers built weapons and defenses for species that had never needed them before. The hegemony empire, faced with an alliance of peaceful species backed by human military might, found their conquests turning into disasters. World after world declared independence from hegemony rule. Their empire began to crumble as former subjects joined the Galactic Protection Alliance. War leader Krex, now a prisoner on Earth, was questioned extensively about hegemony plans and capabilities. What the humans learned made them prepare for a larger war. "Admiral," Captain Cole reported to Murphy, "our prisoner says the hegemony has over 300 war fleets scattered across the galaxy. They are planning a massive attack on Earth and all Alliance worlds." "Let them come," Murphy replied calmly. "We will be ready." The humans began the largest military buildup in their history. Shipyards worked around the clock to build new vessels. Training camps prepared Marines for combat on alien worlds. Scientists developed new weapons and defenses based on captured hegemony technology. But the most important change was in humanity itself. They were no longer alone in the universe. They had found their purpose among the stars, to be the guardians of peace for species that could not guard themselves. Captain Veltar often visited Earth during this time. He was amazed by what he saw. Humans worked tirelessly to protect aliens they had never met. Children in human schools learned about alien cultures. Artists created works celebrating the diversity of galactic life. "Admiral Murphy," Veltar said, during one of his visits, "I must ask you something. My people sent out a call for help from any civilized species. But what we received were warriors from a death world. Do you consider yourselves civilized?" Murphy thought about the question for a long time before answering. Captain, civilization is not about living in peace. Civilization is about choosing to protect the innocent even when it costs you everything. By that measure, I think we are the most civilized species in the galaxy. The galaxy would never be the same. When threatened innocents called for help, they no longer despaired. They knew the Deathworlders would answer. And in the depths of space, human patrol ships carried a simple message to any who would listen. If you need help, call Earth. We will come. The age of hegemony terror was ending. The age of human protection had begun.